What's going on, guys? Welcome back. So I know it's been a hot minute since I've made a video, and if you follow me on social media, then you'll probably know why. I get a lot of questions from you guys all the time about the bumper on the front of my truck and how I did the quick latches and, you know, quick removable bumper deal, all that. So this is what I've done. Now these here are the first ever brackets that I made. These were just cut out with a cutoff wheel on a grinder and bent in the vise on the table over there with a hammer. They're nothing spectacular, but as you see, it's just a little aluminum bracket. I think they're like 3/32 thick. These are the quick latch tabs, and the little stud here, it connects into a latch that's on the bumper itself. So if you look at the front of the truck, you'll see I use the factory bumper mounts, and you've got one on the driver's side, one on the passenger side, upper and lower, and on my bumper, this is where they connect in, right into where I guess you'd say the Laramie insert would go, and then into the power stroke valence that I've got down there on the bottom. Out here on the side is kind of a similar deal. I bolted through underneath the headlight. And again, these are just some crap that I cut out with some thin aluminum cutoff wheel and a grinder, drilled a hole in, mounted the bracket there, and then to the outside of the bumper, this is where it connects. It's just a little push button deal. They pop out, and that's what the inside of it looks like. You just drill a hole and that nut screws on and clamps them in. You got one here, got one down there. So over time, a lot of guys that follow me online have asked me about, you know, making more sets of them, whatever. So I spent a lot of time trying to figure out how to make these universal as far as for the early, I guess you'd say 03 to 05 trucks, then the 06 to 09 style as well. They're very similar, but I'll try to post a picture up here. The 03 to 05 trucks actually have a body line that interferes with the outside brackets that I use here. So I found a way to make them work. Also, I had made a couple sets for guys to try out, and I ran into issues where this truck still has stock intercooler in it. Some of the guys that had thicker intercoolers, such as the OM3, there wasn't enough adjustment on the front tabs to screw the stud out far enough to clear the intercooler. So they were either having them extended all the way out where they were barely holding on, or they were trimming the bumper just a little teeny bit on the edges to clear the intercooler. And I didn't really like that. So I've gone back, I've made some modifications, and this is what the most recent deal looks like. So these are the brackets that I've made now. I had one guy, he was having issues where on mine, I just used one bolt up here and just had it kind of, I guess you say jammed up against, there was a body line or seam or whatever in the headlight support. And so that way it kind of acted as a stop and kept it from rotating. He wasn't able to do that. And so his bumper kept sagging. So what I've done now, I included two holes so that you can actually use your headlight stud that sticks through the headlight support and mount them to the back side. There's two holes. I added this little window here just for looks. And then for the guys that didn't have enough adjustment, these are just some junk ones I made, so don't judge this. But the holes got slotted, so that way you can actually slide them an inch forward with these brackets, and then also the stud on the front of the quick latch has an inch or inch and a half of adjustment actually. So you got right much adjustment you can make with these to try to make them work. But anyways, I say all of that to sum it up with this. For the last week and a half, I have been working on my off days on trying to get a batch of these made up for you guys. I've got 50 sets right now that I just buttoned up. Again, they look a whole lot better than the ones I just showed you here because those were just some of the trial and error pieces. The nice ones are actually off at getting powder right now as we speak. So anyways, should have those back by the end of the week and start being able to ship out to you guys. But that is the excuse for the lack of content on here. It's not for a lack of trying, not for a lack of time in the shop, but it's not really interesting to watch me sanding and deburring parts, drilling holes, stuff like that. So we're back in the shop today though. Got a little bit of time. We got a little project we're working on. So I'll catch you guys up on that. So I know I told you guys that I had bought this, this switch here, and this is for the launch control that I'm going to be wiring up in the truck. I've talked to a bunch of people and done a lot of looking around trying to figure out how I wanted to mount it. And I know I want to mount it up here on the steering wheel somehow. with having the shifter there with switches on it and everything, it's not going to work good having it on my right hand, because basically as soon as I launch, I'd have to let go, get situated on the shifter, and have to worry about not missing a shift or hitting the wrong switch or anything like that. So it just wouldn't be really convenient. So I'm going to go with mounting it on the left side. And man, the steering wheel needs to be replaced bad. This thing looks rough. But anyways, so this is what I come up with. So I got this good old piece of cardboard here. But as you can see, I've drawn up on it what I plan on doing. If you look back on the top of this black plastic piece, it's got a little bit of an angle to it. So I matched the angle on this, and drew me a line where the bend is going to be. And try to do this with one hand to show y'all. So it's going to mount to the top of this plastic piece. I'm actually going to have it where it, let's see if I can get it in the picture here. It's actually going to stop by hitting against the steering wheel there. So I don't have to worry about it folding back or anything when I push the button. As you can see, that's where the button is going to be mounted. And yeah, that's what I plan on doing. So I use this cardboard as a template. Of course, the other one's going to be more rounded on the edge. I ran out of cardboard on that corner there. But anyways, use this as a template. And then I traced it out on this little piece of aluminum I've got here, just a real thin sheet. I don't even know what thickness it is, to be honest with you. But anyways, I'm going to kind of cut it a little bit big so I can trim it to fit how I want it to, and try to make sure the radius up here on this top corner matches the steering wheel the way that I want. Dotted line there is where the bend will be. So I'm going to get it cut out, get it bent, get it up there. Once I get everything the way I want, get the hole drilled, make sure everything mounts right, then I'll take it and I think I've got some, what do you call it, semi-gloss black paint, so that way it'll kind of match the flat black that's on the steering wheel a little bit. I'm going to paint that, let it sit up and dry, and I'll go ahead and take the steering wheel apart. Probably let it dry throughout the afternoon just to make sure it's good and dry so I don't scratch it up too bad. And then we'll get it mounted up on the steering wheel and move on to the next part, which will be trying to wire this thing in and waiting on these tunes from Ryan. So anyways, we're going to get hacking this out real quick, and I'll touch base here shortly. All right, back again. So as you can see, we got that bracket wrapped up, getting ready to scuff it up a little bit, spray a coat of paint on it, let it sit up and dry. I'm going to go ahead and disconnect the battery on the truck so that the capacitor and everything can drain, and get everything, make sure it's good and dead before I go taking the steering wheel apart, because I'd be extremely pissed if the freaking airbag blew out. Not so much because of the airbag as much as the mess that I'd have to clean up in the truck. So anyways, going to disconnect the battery, move on to the next project. So here goes the next project. This is a Flaming River battery disconnect switch. It's required to have this running 670 and faster, I believe, ODSS. My battery is an Optima, and it seems like it's not holding a charge very well. So it's going to double up as a way for me to not have to worry about killing my battery all the freaking time, because I don't feel like buying a new one, and it's getting aggravating jumping this thing every once in a while. So go ahead, put this disconnect on it. I've got the Optima battery charger that I leave on it when it's sitting around anyways. So between the two, I should be good to go for quite a while. So anyways, going to the disconnect. When you get it in the box, I didn't video unpackaging it, but everything basically comes separate. But I got these put together. You see it's got a little detent in the bottom. You can put it all kinds of different ways. It's got that nut with that wavy washer on there to lock it down. 3-bolt flange on the back to bolt it up to the frame. So I've kind of eyeballed how I want to do this under the truck. So the first thing I'm going to do is climb under the truck, and I've got a breaker under there that I need to relocate. I'm going to go ahead and move that and get this bracket mounted, get the shutoff mounted up there. And I don't think I'll be able to finish it today because I'm going to have to lengthen this rod here. That's not going to be long enough to reach where I'm going to have it at. So I'm going to get down there, get to drilling some holes. I'm going to have to kind of, I don't know, do something, not really what I want to do. I don't have a nutsert tool here, so I'm going to have to drill and use some self-tappers to hold this thing up for now. Either that or I'll drill and tap into the frame. I don't know. I hadn't decided yet. Either way, I got to do that. It'd be nice to have a nutsert tool where you could just insert them little inserts into the frame there and screw it in. But anyways, for now, we'll get this mounted up there, and this week sometime we'll get the materials we need to lengthen the rod for the shutoff switch, and we'll get that all buttoned up. But anyways, we'll get down here and get to drilling some holes. All right, guys, so we are up under the truck. I'm probably echoing like crazy when I'm talking, but anyways, so as you can see, you've got the Flaming River disconnect set up here, and I've got it pretty much figured out how I'm gonna mount it. So with that out of the way, you can see, let's see, here is the breaker that we had on here originally, and I'm still gonna use that, but what I'm gonna do is mount it back on this side of the battery, back on the back part of the frame. So luckily the wires equal out. They're about the same length as what I'm gonna need. So I'll be able to, first I'm gonna drill out these two holes and put some self-tappers in there. This hole is actually a nut cert where we had the breaker originally mounted. So that's gonna be good to go. So put two self-tappers in here just to keep this from rotating. We'll get those in. I'll get the disconnect mounted up in there. The battery cable will be hooked to one post. The alternator wire is going to be hooked to the same post as the battery, and then the wire that actually goes up to the truck will be mounted on a separate switch. That way all power will be isolated from the truck itself when the switch is in the off position. So anyways, gonna get those holes drilled and get that bracket mounted up good. I've got to figure out, I can't remember which one of those two wires is for the alternator and which one goes to the truck power. So I got to trace that out and see. I can't remember which one. But anyways, trace that out, get those mounted up and snugged down. This wire runs up over the battery and comes back here on the back side. I need a new piece of heat shrink on there. That's coming off, but anyways, we're gonna run this up to where I'm gonna mount the breaker back here, and then we'll just have to make a short wire to run from here out to the battery. So anyways, get back to it. I'm gonna get this mounted up, get these wires hooked up, and we'll go from there. All right, so I had to regroup just a little bit. So I originally had the disconnect where the studs were in line this way, but I couldn't get this bracket here to where it would actuate the way I needed it to. So I turned it, as you can see, where they're front to back. I had to reorient the lines a little bit, make sure they weren't rubbing on anything. But anyways, got it buttoned up there. As you can see, I've got the linkage just kind of hanging here so I can show you. Right now it's in the off position. You pull it, there you go, you're on, and there's off. So pretty stiff, but that's what you want. You don't want it to bounce in or out. As you can see, there's quite a bit of adjustment here. You could screw this in quite a bit. But anyways, I just got it kind of stuck in there right a second. You get down to this end and you'll see it's got this handle. So let's see if I can get it very loose. So spin this off, and any day now, there you go. As you can see in the end here, there's this set screw is basically what it is. You can actually screw it all the way out. So it's just a threaded hole. Let's see if I can get a good angle. So you can see I've got quite a distance here I've got to make up to get to the roll pan. So all I got to do, I'm gonna go just find me a piece of threaded rod that's that same size, put a couple jam nuts on it. So screw one end in here, lock it down with a jam nut, have the other end extend out, and can screw it into this here. We'll probably end up doing something like that, or I may try to do that up on something like that up on this end, just so that you can't see that sticking out the back side of the truck. All right, so on the back side of the battery, you'll see we have the battery cable that crosses over from here, goes up and over, and comes down to the breaker. All right, so that's gonna be about it for the battery shutoff today. All that's left is connecting the breaker to the actual positive terminal on the battery, and that should be it. So I have all the wiring stuff I need. Trevor is supposed to be bringing me his tool for crimping that 1/0 wire. So when he gets here, I'll probably make that wire up. I finished up the bracket, and actually, let's go see how that looks right now. All right, so that's the bracket. Paint's rather glossy. It's still kind of wet. Just a little bit wet though, not too terrible. But yeah, I don't want to handle that piece too much because the paint's still a little bit tacky, I guess you'd say. I don't want to leave fingerprints or anything in it, so we'll let it sit up the rest of the day and, you know, dry good. I sanded it a little bit. I used some Duplicolor engine enamel like I use on just about everything I paint. And it's a semi-gloss, and use the primer, the paint, and then the clear over top of it. And it looks really shiny. I was kind of hoping it would dull down a little bit. We'll see what it does when it's all the way dry. We had to pop the steering wheel apart. The battery's been disconnected for a while now, so leave it disconnected for, I don't know, till I mess with that steering wheel. That way I don't have to worry about the airbag going off and tearing the world apart. So anyways, it's getting hot. It's about 100 degrees here, it feels like. So probably go ahead and clean up some of the stuff out here in the shop. It's a wreck from the last week or so. I've been working on brackets and then working on the truck today and working on trucks last week a little bit. So gonna clean up a little bit, and Trevor's supposed to be on the way over. Gonna go head over to see our buddy Matt over at Santjer Performance. We get all of our S&S products through him, so it's time to get a little bit of fuel on the way for Trevor's truck. So we're gonna get that ordered today, and hopefully in the next week or so we'll be doing some cool stuff to the blue regular cab too. So anyways, I'll touch base, probably be tomorrow or the next day. I'll get back out here and mess with the truck a little bit more, try to button up the battery shut-off switch, and go ahead and get this wire ran and everything for the launch control, get the switch mounted. So anyways, that'll be a wrap for today. Thank you guys for watching. Y'all stay cool. I know it's hot out there. So anyways, thank y'all. And I know there's been a lot of questions, like I said earlier, on those brackets that I'm making. I do have a new sport cover that I'm going to be putting on the regular cab, but some of the plans that we've been talking about for that, it's not going to be using these brackets because I'm not going to have a front frame rail to mount it to. So what I'll probably do is I'll probably pull the brackets, if I can get the camera over there, off of this truck. Pull those brackets off. When I get a set of the actual nice brackets back, before I package them up to ship out, I'll probably make a quick little video just showing how to mount everything, and that way you guys can see how it's done. I'll use that new sport cover I've got up on the shelf over there, set that up there just so you can kind of see how I go about doing it. There's 1,000,001 ways to go about doing this stuff. Everybody has their own way. I've never even really watched any of it be done. I just kind of winged it, and it worked for me. So I'll show you what I do. I'll show you what some of the other guys who have tried these brackets out, how they went about doing it. Every truck's a little bit different. So, you know, you might have to try a different way than what I did to make this work, but it's a pretty universal kit. It's a whole lot easier than going and paying a fab shop $400 or $500 for labor for them to fab up some mounts and weld stuff up to your frame to mount this stuff. So, but anyways, thank you guys for watching. As always, I appreciate the support. We get in the house and get cooled off a little bit and get ready to go hit and see Matt. So anyways, thank y'all again, and we'll see y'all next time.